Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret life of your money. We're going to follow a single dollar on its incredible journey through the economy and even figure out how. Believe it or not, it's kind of created out of thin air. So let's get right into it.
I mean, really think about it. The last time you bought a coffee or paid a bill, that money didn't just vanish into thin air, right? No, it kicked off a chain reaction, a journey that actually helps power our entire world. But what does that journey really look like? So here's our roadmap. First up, we're going to look at the economy's super simple, basic loop. Then we'll uncover a little bit of magic, how money is actually made. From there, we'll zoom out to see the full picture, we'll take a peek at the future of your wallet, and then we'll tie it all together to see what it all means for you.
All right, so to get our heads around the big, messy, complicated economy, we've got to start small. I mean, really small. Let's strip it all down to its most basic, essential parts.
So, for just a minute, let's forget about governments, banks, international trade, all that stuff. At its very heart, the economy is just this constant flow of value between two key players.
So group number one is households. And yep, that's you, me, all of us. We go to work, we provide our skills and our time, and in return for that labor, we earn an income. And what do we do with that income? Well, we spend it on all the stuff we need and want. The second group, that's firms. Businesses. They're the ones who hire us. They take our labor and use it to make everything from cars to cappuccinos. And then they sell all those products right back to us, the households. And see, this creates this perfect little loop. The money you spend at a store becomes that business's income. That business then uses that income to pay for its costs, which includes your salary. So the money you spend eventually makes its way right back into your pocket as income. It's a really neat, self-sustaining circle. But, and this is a big but, it's not the whole story.
And that brings us to part two, the magic of making money. Because that simple little circle we just talked about, it's got a secret hiding inside of it, a kind of financial magic trick that completely changes how much money even exists in the first place.
Okay, let's just imagine for a second that someone deposits 1 million won into a bank. Now, you might think the bank just takes that cash and tucks it away in a vault for safekeeping, but that is not what happens. Not at all.
This right here is where the magic happens. The bank doesn't just sit on that million won. By law, it only has to keep a small slice of it, let's say 10%, in what's called a reserve. It then lends out the other 900,000. Now here's the kicker. The person who borrows that money goes and spends it, and it gets deposited into another bank. That second bank does the exact same thing. It keeps 10% and lends out the rest. This cycle just keeps repeating over and over and over again.
So get this. After just a few rounds of this lending and redepositing, that original 1 million won has effectively ballooned into more than 3.4 million won circulating in the economy. The original deposit is still there, but now there's an extra 2.4 million of credit, of new money, flowing around as well.
You see, most of that new money didn't come from a government printing press. It was created by the banking system through the act of lending. It basically appeared out of thin air, all built on the trust that those loans will eventually be paid back. It's an incredible, and maybe a little startling, feature of our modern financial system.
Okay, so we've got our basic loop and we've got this magic trick of money creation. Now let's zoom out and add the other big players into the mix so we can get a full, realistic picture of how the economy actually works.
So that simple circle we started with, it kind of assumes all money stays in that loop forever. But in the real world, that's just not true. Money can leak out of that main flow, and new money can be injected back in.
This chart breaks it down perfectly. So when you save your money in a bank instead of spending it, that's a leakage. It's money taken out of the spending stream. But when a business takes a loan from that very same bank to invest in a new factory, that's an injection. When the government collects taxes, leakage. But when it turns around and spends that money on new roads or schools, that's an injection. Same goes for global trade. When we buy things from other countries, imports, money leaks out. But when we sell our stuff to them, exports, money gets injected right back in.
And here is the really crucial part. For the economy to be stable, all these forces have to be in balance. The amount of money leaking out from savings, taxes, and imports needs to be pretty much equal to the amount being injected back in from investment, government spending, and exports. When it's all balanced out, things are generally stable. When it gets out of whack, well, that's when you see big economic booms or busts.
All right, on to section 4, the future of your wallet. So we've talked about how money flows and how it's created. But the actual form of money, what it is now changing faster than ever before, and it's all because of technology.
Just take a look at this. This chart comes from Australia's central bank, and it shows a really clear trend. You don't even have to read the fine print. Just look at that line for cash payments. It's just plummeting. We are moving incredibly fast toward a world where money is almost completely digital, just ones and zeros on a computer. And that massive shift opens up a whole new universe of possibilities, and a whole lot of new questions.
One of the biggest ideas being talked about right now is something called a central bank digital currency, or a CBDC. The easiest way to think about it is like a digital dollar or a digital yen, but it's issued directly by a country's central bank, the same folks who print physical cash. It would be a direct claim on the central bank, just like that bill in your wallet is right now.
So how is that any different from the digital money we use today? Well, right now, the physical cash in your hand comes from the central bank, but it's, physical. The money in your bank account is digital, sure, but it's technically an IOU from your commercial bank. A retail CBDC would basically combine the best of both worlds. It would be totally digital, but it would also be a direct, totally risk-free claim on the central bank itself.
Which is a totally fair question, right? For most of us, our digital payment systems seem to work just fine. They're fast, they're convenient. So what's the problem that a CBDC is trying to solve? Why would we even need it?
Well, the people who support the idea point to a bunch of potential upsides. First, it would be the safest possible digital money you could hold, with zero risk. It could also be designed to offer more privacy than our current digital systems. It might create a new platform for companies to build innovative payment tools on top of. And it could help bring people without bank accounts into the financial system. It might even be able to work offline, say during a power outage, just like cash does today.
Okay, last section. What does it all mean? We've gone all the way from a super simple loop to the magic of how banks create money, to the complex global system, and we've even taken a peek into our digital future. So what's the big takeaway from all this?
At the end of the day, money in any form, whether it's a seashell, a piece of paper, or just some digital code, only works because of a shared story of trust. We all trust that it has value, and we trust that other people will accept it as payment. So as we move into this new era of purely digital currencies, the technology is going to change, no doubt. But that fundamental need for trust, that's not going anywhere. So the real question becomes, what new story about value and about trust are we all going to choose to tell? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.